Hello, it's a wonderful day for watercolor painting. Today we're going to delve into a 5-class course on painting trees and forests and landscapes. So we're going to start out fairly simple with more single subject compositions and simpler techniques, and then we're going to gradually get a little bit more complex. So as always, I encourage you to stop and redo classes if you haven't gotten the technique down, because you'll need those techniques for building on in the next class and the next one after that, etc. So the first thing that you're going to do is prepare your watercolor paper and transfer the most important lines of your forest or tree scene onto your watercolor paper with a normal HB pencil. But then I'm going to work from top bottom, and I'm going to put down a base tone first and let some different things work together on the page. So I'm going to do a lot of my work in this particular tree. This is a deciduous tree and the leaves are kind of see-through, so what I'm going to do is mix up some different puddles of the colors that I think I'll need. So some yellows, greens, and oranges. Here's a nice yellow, get that activated in a big puddle. But then also some different blues so that you can go into those greens and tone them down. Maybe a second shade of yellow next to the first. Okay, once I have some things going on, I want to make sure that I always keep a broken, interesting color mixture going on in these trees, especially in this first pass. So I'm going to use my spray bottle like this and just lightly spritz right over the shape of the leaves, and in the bottom here, the shape of the grass. So I have a broken, splotchy pattern. Then I'm going to sponge up some of my green and just start to lightly sponge over the green the way that I see it in the reference, but I'm going to go right over the top of all of these tree shapes. Don't push too much, because if you push down, you're going to lose that interesting broken leafy pattern on the edge. As I move over here, I see that the color gets a lot more orange, so I'm just picking up some orange and letting that do its thing. But notice how it mixes with the green. Then down here, that red is a lot more intense. And then right into that, I will let some more of that yellow mix. And the yellow is going to touch into all of the bottom edges here. And I can mix in some different shades of the greens. Also keep in mind that when your watercolor dries, it's going to get a lot lighter. So you need to have plenty of saturated color on your paper from the very beginning. Over here, I'm going to add some more of the same greens. And in the field on the bottom, where the grass is growing, I'm still using my sponge, and I'm just sponging in some greens over there as well. On this side, closer to the light source, that green becomes a lot more yellow and orange, just like it does in the trees. So I'll sponge up that same orange and sponge that over into that green side. The closer I get to the light source, the lighter my color becomes. So up here, I'm going to go in with a nice bright yellow. Okay. Before that has a chance to dry, I'm going to use a brush and help direct some of those shapes and make them a little bit less boring. For lack of a better word, we'll just say boring. Because right now it's a little predictable. It looks a little bit like a sponge painting, which is what it is at this point, but we don't want that. So I'm going to work around the shadow shapes of these larger leaf clumps, and I'm using a small round brush, and I'm trying to make the edges interesting. So that means that sometimes I'm going to have it on the side like this, and sometimes on the point. And I'm going from dark shape to dark shape, but keeping them connected across the whole tree here. I'm trying to make it look like a real tree. So I need to have some lights that are shining through, but I also need these darks to be connected together, so that if you squint at the tree, you can see the way these darks have a sense to them. They're what happens when there are lighter clumps of the leaves that are standing out away from the branches. So right now I'm painting that dark shadow color that's still green, but it exists underneath and behind those puffy parts that are sticking out.